Hi, all of you wonderful scuba divers out there. Welcome to the Scuba Diving Magazine podcast, where I break down the very latest scuba diving news and just things that piqued my interest over the previous week. This week, news of dolphins in trouble. It really hasn't been a great week for dolphins, unfortunately. But there is some good news. There's an Easter prize giveaway by a UK manufacturer that I'll talk about in a little bit. There wasn't a podcast last week. That's my fault. I've come down with man flu, which you might be able to hear. And I might be coughing throughout this podcast, so I do apologise. I have dosed myself up the best I can to try and counteract it. I'm literally sucking on a lozenge at the moment to try and prevent any coughing. But yeah, I apologise if there is any ahead of time. So yeah, jumping in with the first news story. The first, really interesting one is that United States specialist diving team of nuclear cleaning divers have become the very first humans in 65 years to enter a storage pond at Cumbria's Sellafield site. So, according to the plant's records, it was all the way back in 1958 that a maintenance operator and a health physics monitor last entered the water in this pile fuel storage pond to repair a broken winch. And since then, of course, like nuclear reactor and all that kind of stuff, they've only sent robots, ROVs, in to this radioactive water with all the sludge and debris and whatnot. So it's been like that for 65 years. They have sent divers into this rather hostile environment. And I remember seeing a video clip or something on the internet talking about those the radioactive ponds, and the scientist or whoever was talking about it was like, actually, unless you're really, really close to it, it's not particularly dangerous. I mean, it's not a great place to be. It wouldn't be just somewhere that you go for a recreational dive, but the closer you get to it, from what I understand, the exposure gets exponentially greater. So it's not as if all of these divers were in lead-lined suits or whatever, but yeah, it's still a pretty horrible environment. And where the divers had to go in, it was a section called the wind scale piles, and it's used for cooling, storing and decanning spent fuel from the reactors. For anyone who's watched Chernobyl, you know how important it is to have this large amounts of water around to keep them cool. And yeah, it was actually used as a part of the UK's post-war atomic weapons program. When operations at the plant were abandoned in the 1960s, radioactive sludge was kind of left to form from the decaying nuclear fuel, algae, and other debris. So Sellafield Limited is responsible to the UK's Nuclear Decommissioning Authority and says that the work to detoxify the site remains one of the world's most complex decommissioning challenges, and yeah, divers were involved. They did report that significant progress has been made in retrieving and safely storing the fuel, the sludge, and redundant equipment from the pond by using robots and other tools, but by the end of last year, it had become a matter of retrieving materials from the floor, the very corners, the awkward bits, and other inaccessible areas, at which point only humans were deemed capable of completing the priority project. And way back in 2019, I say way back in 2019, it was only, 4 years ago, they actually constructed a replica facility with obviously uncontaminated waters so that the divers could practice the necessary work in a safe environment, especially the entry and exit protocols, because you want to make sure that you get it done just right. So the military, whenever they're preparing for a particular operation, they build up mock-ups so that the soldiers can prepare, they can visualize where they are and how to do things, and they've done this for these divers to prepare for this cleaning up operation. And the divers work in shifts for anywhere up to 3.5 hours at a time. Obviously commercial divers, and these are like nuclear specific trained commercial divers, so this is what they do. They're not general commercial divers, they just focus on this in particular. But they say that, yeah, it's been 5 years in the planning, it's been a huge success, and there's a huge focus on safety, especially for the divers and the general world, as it were. We don't want another like sort of Chernobyl. Chances are, obviously it was decommissioned back in the 60s, so a meltdown is not expected, I imagine, but of course you don't want people getting sick. And the current plans estimate the decommissioning work is set to cost around £212 million, and it's still on schedule to be completed by 2039. So yeah, it means it's going to take the best part of a century to decommission it fully. But yeah, it is interesting that ROVs, no matter how good the ROV technology and the pilots are, still in some areas it comes down to actual divers to sort of get their hands dirty, get in there and fix things. The next news story is all about the dolphins. And 2 dolphins and porpoises have been found dead on English and Welsh coastlines in February, and they, of course, the marine biologists and whatnot, they checked just to see what causes of death were, and they're now they've picked up traces of avian flu in them, and this is starting to raise like red flags. The body of an adult female short-beaked common dolphin was discovered on Pembrokeshire's Newgale Beach on the 19th of February, and tests have shown that although she died of other causes, she was infected with a virulent H5N1 strain of avian influenza. They think it might be caused by the dolphins eating infected seabirds, and that's how they're contracting the disease. But obviously, yeah, sort of influenza-style viruses still infect marine mammals, and yeah, whilst it might not be killing them outright, it's still infecting them, and of course they're asking for any kind of cetacean strandings. If you do see any dead animals, if you're walking along the coastline, then report them to CSIP, which is the Cetacean Strandings Investigation Program, and I'll pop a phone number that you can contact them down in the description below. Also, to do with dolphins, a group of 33 swimmers in Hawaii have been referred to federal authorities for harassing spinner dolphins by the Pacific Islands Division of Conservation and Resources Enforcement, or DOCARE, and the NOAA Office of Law Enforcement. So officers of the Department of Land and Natural Resources patrolling Honaunau Beach in Hawaii Islands on the 26th of March reported finding the swimmers pursuing after a pod of dolphins, just to get close and probably to get some selfies and pictures and stuff. But there was actually drone video and photographs released showing the groups, quoted, aggressively pursuing, corralling and harassing the pod. Now, they were actually told off in the water. They were told that they were contravening laws designed to protect marine mammals, but when they actually returned to the beach, officers in the area had sort of detained them as well, and yeah, sort of gave them a swift telling off, so that yeah, you're not supposed to chase dolphins around, whether it's in a boat or whether you're just swimming after it. Yeah, just leave them to do their thing, and yeah, if they get close enough for a picture, wonderful, but don't push them at her. Don't like corral them and chase after them. Yeah, because you're just going to stress them out, and then they're probably never going to come back to that area. And yeah, the same with scuba diving. If they come up to you, great, wonderful. Take some pictures, take some video, but yeah, don't chase after them. There's no point in doing that. And the final news story, yeah, Northern Diver have announced a hidden Easter egg throughout their website, ndiver.com. So this went live on Thursday, the 6th of April. from midday, and there's a chance to win lots of goodies. There's plenty of like free gift vouchers and stuff, and there's also a hidden golden egg prize somewhere on their website. If you find them all, then yep, wonderful. I'm not exactly sure because I'm recording this just beforehand, so I'm not quite sure what the procedure is. But yeah, apparently on the website there's going to be all sorts of like hidden sneaky Easter eggs. So have a sneaky look around. And the hunt ends on Tuesday, the 11th of April at 12 noon GMT here in the UK. So yeah, head over to endiver.com, have a snoop around, look at some of their pages and see if you can find any of these Easter eggs, and yeah, you can get yourself an Easter prize. Otherwise, as far as news, yeah, we had April Fools as well. Yeah, I didn't do last weekend's because of the man flu, but yeah, I was still checking out, trying to see what some of the dive industry does. There was, of course, the wireless air regulator, because there always is one every single year. Someone announces they've got a wireless regulator second stage. The one that did make me giggle was from DUI. They had a technical dry glove which was fingerless, so it had like silicone or latex seals around each finger so that you could have a fingerless dry glove. That did make me laugh. But there wasn't a great deal. I don't remember seeing too many April Fools out there. The one that I still like, that I think they should do, was X Deep. They did a gold, either gold plated or solid gold bolt snap, which is right up my alley. But no, I haven't seen too many good April Fool's jokes from the diving industry on my social media accounts. If you did see any, pop them down in the comments below for me to have a laugh at. But yeah, the one that really stood out for me was DUI and their fingerless dry gloves. New gear, again, not a great deal. I didn't spot too or anything new, actually. I think most things, if it's in stock, then it's already on like dive center shelves. I haven't seen a great deal of like just announced. One that actually, tell a lie, one that I did spot, which I think is new, or at least newly released, is Oceanic's 50th year anniversary regulator. Now, the problem is that I see a lot of this kind of stuff behind the scenes, but of course I'm not allowed to talk about it until it's released. So I can't remember if this has been released yet to the general public or not, basically. But Oceanic have released their 50th year anniversary regulator, and it's the Delta regulator, and they're doing it in a few different colors. I can see on scuba.com they've got the gold version and the blue version, which is quite funky. I believe there's also a pink version that's still available. But yeah, just something a little bit different. They've also got their limited edition UV tinted shadow mask. Shadow mask has been going for forever now. It's a very simple but good mask, and it comes with a neoprene mask strap. So it's always been very, very popular. Now they're doing it with a UV tint as well. So and that celebrates their 50th anniversary. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, yeah, kind of quiet. I don't think I've seen any other new announcements or releases. I think that's mainly it. As far as what I've been working on, yeah, I've been working on scripts behind the scenes because talking has been quite tricky. I did manage to do some arse marks, so if I do sound a bit under the weather, that's because I am. But yeah, I've been doing as much like editing and behind the scenes kind of stuff as I can, because in front of the camera is pretty tough for my voice. I'm just coming out the other end of it. I think I'm definitely like getting better, as it were. Vitamin C, lots of orange juice, and yeah, lots of caffeine as well seems to be helping. But yeah, what have I been working on? I was doing a wetsuit buyer's guide yesterday, just to sort of help you make choices on buying wetsuits. Otherwise, Yeah, a few questions. The first one was on like dry suit. Someone was asking whether it's worth getting a semi-dry or whether a neoprene or a membrane dry suit would be better for diving in cold waters. And then, yeah, of course, the usual question, which is better, neoprene or membrane? Which is a tough question. It depends on whoever it is. They both have their pros and cons. There was a diver mystery as well, which I think is always good fun. One thing that I did change this week is that I'm starting to get a bit of a backlog of questions. So instead of doing it on a Tuesday and a Thursday, the Ask Mark like release schedule, I'm changing it to a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you're now getting 3 Ask Marks a week. So so just a bit more content there. But yeah, the question was about it was quite an interesting one. They went for dive number 1 and everything was fine. They got back, they swapped over their cylinders. I think they had some food, they went to the bathroom, their semi-dry wetsuit dried out. But then for dive 2, they were very buoyant and they actually needed an extra 2 kilos of leads to get down. And they were just kind of wondering what that could be. And it's really tough to like diagnose with 1, so little information, and 2, like not being there. My mind usually goes to like, yeah, trapped air, because semi-dry suits are quite efficient at like trapping water, so in turn trapping air inside, but also swapping equipment. They mentioned that they didn't just get an air fill, they swapped their cylinders. Granted, it was for the same volume cylinder. If it's like a different brand, then it could be a different buoyancy. Just because it's the same volume doesn't necessarily mean it's the same buoyancy. So it could have been that, or another common one is weight belts, where 2 divers have the same weight pockets or the same weight belt, and they just have different amounts of lead inside of it. It still kind of feels just as heavy to the divers, so they swap it over. So that's where my mind naturally goes. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and I don't think it's going to the bathroom or having some food. I can't say I've ever noticed a shift in my buoyancy after having lunch and then going for a second dive after food. Otherwise, yeah, everyone on a liverboard would be constantly adjusting their weight belts. But yeah, good, interesting questions, and more are coming in on the website, or sorry, on YouTube. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm going to end it there just to save my voice a little bit. I'm probably going to be coughing all afternoon now after talking this much without. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. Don't forget to check out the website scubadivermag.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Thank you for listening, everybody, and of course, safe diving.